totally different situation and location. As you know, I'm traveling all over the world, and now we can travel again. Doesn't mean that we still have to work a lot in our home office, and therefore BLOOMYPRO is a fantastic tool to use to create your bouquets for your customers, for yourself, for your hobby or your profession. Right now I'm in Ecuador, in Quito, and I'm here in a setting of a virtual trade show booth which we are making for a farm called Sunflowers in Ecuador, and they were so nice to let me use this location. What I'm doing for today is a very basic explanation about BLOOMYPRO. BLOOMYPRO, you can make everything. You have more than 6,000 different varieties of flowers in your program, but aside of that, you can put them, of course, in all ways together. There is, of course, some experience with it, and what I do today is like very basic. So I go for the basic way of making a bouquet. That means that you have always one center flower. For example, that could be, in this case, the Ella lily in yellow, one center flower, and then you build your bouquet, and what you do, always use 3. So the multiples of 3 or 6 or 9, and then you create the center, and it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then at the end you have your bouquet. So in this case, today I'm not using a lot of flowers. I do it monochromatic. That means that we have only one color. So I go for the color yellow, and let's start. You start by hitting the New Bouquet button. The program will open. Now I hit the clean start. I start with a new bouquet. There are all kinds of ways to search your flowers. I prefer to use the favorite button. And now searching for lilies. I would like to use a lily LA, but there are different ways to search. So Lilium, which is the Latin name, or you use Lily, the English name. And here it is, the yellow one I would like to use. I drag it to the right hand side and put it in my recipes. But I also would like to add more flowers, and one is the Calla lily. They are also underneath Santadesia, which is the Latin name. I use a yellow one. The information button gives me all information about the name, the color, ripeness, and the diameter. I also drag it to the right hand side into my recipe. And of course, we want some more flowers. And this time I'm searching for a rose, and using the name Rosa. And by doing that, I can search also by favorite type, what kind of flower it is, if it's a focal and so on. But I go for this yellow one, which is a red rose, of a yellow rose, and pull it also to the right hand side. For the texture, I like to use Hypericum, green in this case, and here's a beautiful green one, the Cocoa, also 5 centimeter diameter. I also drag that one to the right hand side. In this case I select all the flowers I prefer to use, and then later I can put them together as a bouquet. For green I use Salal. And so, having all these materials, now we can start putting them together. So make some space on my screen, and I start with the yellow lily. The yellow lily, I put it at the center, and I like to make it like in a way that it's immediately a bouquet which you can see in an angle. What you did see is that I was making my bouquet live using the lily at first and then adding the greens. I do this now as well. And as you can see, the lily is a little too low, so I want to make it a little taller. I use the shift button and pull it up. So when you hold your mouse and you click on the shift button, then also you can work in a way that you still can see the flower. If you don't do that, you only see the circles. So now I add more green to it. So there's one on the back side. I put one more on the sides and one a little bit more to the front. And again, I'm using the shift button, click it once so that I can move the material while I'm actually seeing it instead of the dots. I make the lily a little taller, also using the shift button, and then you, with your mouse, you pull it up or you push it down. Now I add roses, like I did also in the live version. I add the roses, and now by putting the 3 roses, now I give them a place. So as you can see, now it's behind the lily at the center. So you see it and you don't see it, but that's what we normally also have when we have a picture of a bouquet in 45 degrees. And it's really like making a bouquet in your hand. You really play with the flowers, move them in the position you like. The same I do also with the calla lilies. I lower it a little bit, also with the shift button again, so that it really is a nice bouquet in one length. One at the front. And as you can see, when you move the callas, they also change position, which is beautiful. Now I add 3 more lilies, like I did also in the live version. This lily is a little low, so I have to pull it up by the shift button, using the shift button and dragging it up with my mouse. And you can see that the green is overlapping the yellow, so that means that it's a little more important, let's say, than the rose. Now we are adding the hypericum. First I select 3 hypericum, put them randomly, and then I blend them in into the bouquet. With that, also again using the shift button, click it once so you can see actually the material, in this case the hypericum, where it goes in the bouquet. That's easier, so you really can see if it's kind of seek and hide what he does, that it's in front or behind the flower, to create like the actual look you are looking for. Last but not least, we have to add the greens. So we add Salal, and again there, click the shift button so that you really can see the material and move it around so you can see where it blends in the best way. Not that it's totally overlapping your flowers. In this case, it's like the lily is hidden. So I have to put it a little bit more on the back side. There you go. And when at a certain point, I leave it there. The hypericum is a little hidden away. So I'm readjusting that. So now we take like another leaf, again, a little shorter because otherwise it's overlapping too much of the flowers, and I blend it in. And then another green at the front, a little lower, otherwise I can't see my flowers anymore.
In this way, I really create this normal bouquet, what you normally do. First, you start with one lily, you add some greens at the center, and at the end some greens on the outside. You see really by moving the lily, sometimes you see the rose, sometimes you don't, and you really have to stop at the point you think like, this is nice. I place it a little bit more inside because there was like a white spot in the middle of my bouquet. And that rose is a little too high, so I'll lower it a little bit. So now it's better. The little adjustments you do at the end. Then you see here that my stems are like parallel. I can change that by using the button of the stem style. Now I do cross stems. I can even higher the cross point. You see? And now it looks like a normal cross stem bouquet. I can even pull it a little bit more to the front that I can see more on the top. I can adjust that. And now I see also more the flowers which are on the back. As we know, the customer would like to see all the flowers which are actually in the bouquet. And by all these adjustments, I click once on the shift button and hold my mouse so that my flower is inside while I'm moving it around. Now you can save and share it. You give it a name, and that name will stay in your list with all the bouquets you have been created. So later on it's very easy to find it back. Just hit that same name and you will find your bouquet in a few seconds. For the description, I write down very simple what kind of flowers are inside. That's also easy later to share with customers or friends. And of course, if you hit in your system the bouquet, automatically it comes in your screen back with the recipe which you see on the right hand side with the flowers. But this I use so that it's like very easy to communicate and to send by email. You can even share it with friends, with colleagues, by sending it directly to an email address as well. Now what I do, I just save and return. You can see that the system is now thinking and placing everything in place in your profile, and this is the bouquet at the end and ready to share with all the people who love to see your product.
So first of all, I take the first flower, which is the lily. Then I add greens, and later on you will see this also when I do the virtual way in the BLOOMYPRO system, how you do this. So for now with the real flowers. So one lily. And as you can see, I use the greens right away, 3 different kinds of greens around the lily. I do this because when you make a bouquet, you want to have something in your hands. I always use my fingers, which are simulating the top of the vase, and you just squeeze it, not squeeze it, gentle. First of all, the flowers, they don't like it to be squeezed like a lot, and second of all, if you hold it too tight, your bouquet doesn't flare out. So after this, I'm going to use the calla. This is a yellow calla. Actually, all these flowers are grown also by Sander Flowers in Ecuador. And so here is the second one, and the third one. So this is, let's say, the third circle around the lily, as you can see. Then I'm using the Hypericum. This is a variety, this is the green Hypericum. You will find this also in your Bloomy Pro. If you click on flowers, you type Hypericum, and then immediately you see all the different colors of Hypericum. You select the green one, you can click on the info button, and then you see how large in diameter actually the Hypericum is. Also, if you pull it to the right hand side for your recipe, and then you move it to the center, you can even change the height. Okay, so if you want to make everything in one length, basic, it says 40 centimeter, but you can make it even 50. There's also down at the bottom of your screen, you see like an arrow which is about height. You see also one which is about the width, so you can pull out the flowers, and there is even a button where you can click straight stems, or in this case, cross stems. I do cross stems right now. That means that all the flowers are like in one direction, and they call it also twist tight, so that you see it already flares out. So when it flares out a lot here, it also flares out a lot at the top, because guess what? The flower is connected to the stem. So that's what happens. So then I add the roses. So we have like the yellow rose. I put this in the gap between the two colors. You see that? So that they get their own space. And the third one, and you have to turn around this bouquet in your hand frequently, otherwise this is a very normal thing. You make everything pretty on the side which you see. So I look at this side, so when I don't turn around my bouquet, it will be super pretty on this side, and here there is a lack of flowers. So that's why you have to turn around the bouquet very often in your hands. Now, I'm gonna add more lilies. I love lilies. Lilies are long-lasting flowers. I like the fact how they open. You buy them, they're very tight, and then slowly on they open. So you see really the progress of how a flower develops. Here we have the 3 lilies. And now I have 3 more calla lilies. Now, of course, it's not so nice when I put the calla lily right here, because there is already one. Then they have a fight with each other. We don't want that. So we put them here, in between, and as this is like a second circle after this one, they are having more space and more on the outside of the bouquet. And here, the second one of the last row, and the last flower, like this. You see how my stems are tight, and you see also here is still a leaf. We don't want leaves in the bouquet, in the water specifically. If this is in the water, your water gets very dirty, and the flowers, they cannot drink anymore. So it's very important to take all the leaves off. Then, after that, I can cut it, but first let's talk about the shape. If you want to make it more dome shape, you just pull up the lily a little bit, and you see what happens. Now it's more dome shape. So we can also pull up the roses a little bit. And now I have a perfect, nice round bouquet. What I do now is like I cut them in one length, like this. I do this with clippers. That's easier when you make the bouquet. Later, when you put it inside a vase, you can also use a knife and cut all the flowers in an angle. Now, a trick. How do you tie this? Well, you can tie it with rope, you can tie it with raffia, you can tie it with plastic raffia. That I don't prefer. It's not so nice for Mother Nature. But you can also use like rubber bands like this. And what you do is like you hook the rubber band on one strong stem, like this. Like this. Then you go above your hand one time, and you take another strong stem, and you hook it on that other strong stem. So now my bouquet is tight. It doesn't go anywhere. And what I like about using rubber bands, it always stays tight. So if you use raffia and you make a knot, At a certain point, you know, it gets loose, your bouquet falls apart, and that's what you don't want. Now, and then this is the bouquet, it's ready. So actually, I could take a vase. This is one of the bouquets produced here at the farm. But then I take this vase and put it in the water, like this, and here you go. Ready to rock and roll. So what I'm doing after this video, I also make for you all like the virtual way, using the same flowers and using the same positions, and then you will see how you do this also in your BLOOMYPRO program. Very easy, guys and girls, men and women. You can do this, really. It's so easy and it's wonderful. Plus, never to forget, if you have this yellow bouquet and you think like when you make this in BLOOMYPRO, you want to change the color, that's super easy, because you go in your search list, you take, let's say, a purple color, and that purple color you move over the picture on the right hand side in your screen, over the yellow color, you hold it there, and then all of a sudden in your screen, in your bouquet, the yellow color will all be replaced for purple colors. So easy is it to change the bouquet, and you can communicate this with friends, with colleagues, or with customers, and it makes your life so easy. So thank you very much, and see you on the next video.